Well, those bees that I built a couple of years back just won't survive another season. One thing I found out is never use interior plywood if you're building outdoor whirligigs. No matter how many coats of paint, epoxy, and whatnot you put on them, they just will not stand up to the weather. And this is the result here that you see. My bee colony totally delaminated, and so I just started saving the parts from them that were usable again. And then I went to Home Depot, and they sold me this stuff called Aztec. It's a it's a plastic wood that's supposed to last for approximately 25 years outdoors. So they said that would be the longest lasting option to besides pressure treated. And I wanted to try something different, so I bought a piece of 1x6x8 of it to try, and I wound up going back and doing a little bit of fiddling around with a program that I had used before, just to turn it so I could just barely fit it on the 1x6 size there, and then just I'm running them on the CNC router again, and you can pretty much see there's the screen that you watch, and you can see it just kind of cutting. And it's the first time I've ever machined this stuff, and basically it's really doing a good job, cutting nice and clean and stuff, and don't seem to be any problems. I'm just using a small 1/8 inch diameter cutter so I can get all the radiuses and stuff, so I kind of have to go slow with this stuff. And I did find out that speeding the RPM of the router down some really made it cut cleaner too. So here's the first one all cut out. You can see I use double-sided tape for this kind of a job when I'm going to run a bunch of parts like this, and I have to cut through the part. So I just, clamp a waste board onto the CNC router, and then I had lucky. I got a bunch of these rolls of this double-sided tape at my dollar store a couple of years ago, so I have an unlimited supply of it, so I just put a couple layers of that down to be safe, and then I just cut that 1x6 up into blanks that were the proper length for each of the bees, and that actually does cut just like wood also. It seems to be a pretty nice product to work with. And then you just stick it down. You see I put a lot of double-sided tape there, but you just want to make sure that any parts that could fly free or come free are going to be caught by the tape when you're machining it. And then you just watch the router go to work. Makes it a real easy job. My wife's not too happy about it because it's about midnight right now when I'm doing this, and she's right above it trying to sleep, but that's not happening. So it's basically a boring job once you get it programmed and get the first one run, and you see everything's going to run good, and just sit back and watch the machine. And here you can pretty much see this is that belt drive router that I built from scrap I had laying around, and it's been working pretty good, but I'm having some trouble with the a little bit of playing the bearings now that they were not meant to be used for a router like this. So probably in the future I'll throw a couple linear bearings in it to stiffen it back up again. So I'm not getting a real perfect cut anymore, but it still does a good job. There you can see I got Dust Deputy shoved down under it with a vacuum that turned out to be the best solution for catching all the dust on this little tiny machine here. It has a higher airflow with a quicker velocity to get all the chips. So it's just a matter, sitting back. Each one of these bees did take 10 minutes to run because you have to do multiple passes with the the thinner cutter and stuff, and then just pull it up and replace the tape, and then just tape down another one and let it rip. I hope this Aztec stands up, as good as they say it will, because it seems like it'd be a real nice material for building these kind of, outdoor whirligigs and stuff like that. So, same thing, just, keep watching the router, and eventually you get down to the last piece you're running. Now, these could actually be cut out with a scroll saw or a jigsaw or anything like that too, if you wanted to try making them. If anybody's interested, I can actually try to upload like a DXF file or something like that of this body outline to Thingiverse. So anyhow, I got the outlines cut, and then the hole for that cross shaft. I wanted to make sure it was exact fit for the shaft going in there. So I decided to drill that a little bit undersized with the router, and then go back on the drill press and open it up. And then I had to make a fixture to add the hole for it to interface with the mount set I made for the last ones that are already mounted out on the posts by the garden. So just had to drill that hole in the bottom of all of them to have them so that they would be easy to mount, and they'll kind of spin around on the mount also in the wind. So we got them all pretty much done, and then I had to make some more bases up to paint them on and stuff like that. So I just took some blocks of plywood and pieces of dowel, and I found this Rust-Oleum paint that's actually made for plastic. So it's supposed to be good for plastic and last long. So I figured I'd give that a try too. So I just gave them all a nice coat of this. I think it was sun yellow paint, which was basically the same color that I used on the wooden ones also, except for I did use latex on them. So the paint covered this stuff really good. I was surprised. One coat is all it took, and then I went back down while they were drying and had to take and disassemble the old bees. And there you can see what happens. They're just out in the sun and in the wind and everything else, and just the plywood just came apart, even though I did put a lot of coats of finish on it and tried coating some epoxy on the bad spots last year and stuff, but they were easy to take apart. The wings there were come right out, and then the shaft knocks right out there was just held in by a little bit of super glue. So there's all the parts disassembled, ready to be used on the new ones. So that's going to save me a lot of work and stuff here. Now, if you're going to make something like this, you don't have to use metal for those wings and stuff. They could always be made out of wood also. So now it's time to get the stripes on them. So pretty much you can see I just took a pencil, and I took one of the old ones that was still good, and just transferred the lines where I had to put the marks before for drawing those radiuses. And then just used a radius guide and put them on there with a pencil, and then I went back and I masking taped over the all the yellow areas that I didn't want painted. Now the tape was actually thin enough that I could see through and see the lines, and just take a utility knife blade and just go back and freehand cut along the lines and remove the piece of the tape where I wanted to have the black paint. This was really the most time-consuming part of making these bees over again. So, probably could be done with just a can of black paint and a paintbrush and a steady hand. Thinking that probably would be a lot faster in the end, but this is the way I chose to do it. So, I got them all taped off like that. You can see, ready to spray. Then I just took them out in my shop outside and put a quick coat of black Rust-Oleum on top of that yellow, and I did have some problems with paint lifting and stuff, but that's another issue. And then while the paint was drying, I actually finally replaced, I had an old clothes dryer vent in my house that was that plastic stuff, and I should have replaced it years ago, but I had the pipe sitting there, so I had the time to do it, and I just decided to go through and replace that just to be on the safe side. And it did turn into kind of a mess, getting all the new pipes in and stuff, but it was well worth doing because the other stuff is really dangerous to have. So the paint's dry now, and time to remove the masking tape. And you can see there's some, that black paint actually did cause some bubbles and lifting in the yellow paint. It seemed to harden over okay and stuff, but it just looks like there may be some incompatibility when you're trying to do a couple coats of different colors of the Rust-Oleum. And I did let it dry the 48 hours that they said between them, but there you can see they don't look too bad. They're not perfect, but there they are, just ready to start reassembling. So there's that axle shaft that goes in there, which was just a piece of tubing with some nylon bushings, and you can see that drill was a real nice tight fit for it. So just going to drive it in, and when I did fabricate them, I put a knurl in the middle of them there, and I'm just going to put a drop of super glue on that knurl before I drive it in, and that'll really help to hold it over the long run. And then just pound them in a little bit with a hammer, and pretty much all ready to put the wings on. And the wings, you can see they were made out of plasma cut metal and some plastic, but they could be, you could make them out of wood, or even you could take some plastic and bend it like this too, cut it and bend it. But it doesn't take a lot to make the wings turn. So there's the first one back together, and then it was just a matter of going back and doing the rest of them. And now I'm going to go put the little antennae on the top of them. I did manage to save some of them from the old bees, so just drilling a couple holes, freehanding them, eyeballing them on an angle back on the top of the head there, and I just used a brazing rod to make them originally. So then I'm just they slide really tight in the holes, and I'm just gonna leave them at that. Now, when the other ones delaminated, some of them actually did lose their antennae, so I had to make a couple more of them, and I was just take a piece of brazing rod, cut it to length, cut it into little sections like that with the pliers, and then just go back and put a little bend on the end of them. And nothing fancy, but just one of those little finishing touches that doesn't take a long time to do, and I think it looks pretty cool on them. So there they are, all packed up and ready to go out and be put in the garden. So all the mounts for them are still on the post. They stay out during the winter and stuff. They're mounted permanently on the post. So that hole in the bottom just kind of slides over the pin that's welded up out of the plate on the post, and you can see they're starting to spin a little bit already. Yeah, I probably could have just taken that basket and carried it with me, but I didn't think ahead. So there they are, all back out there, spinning around the garden there. I really missed them when they weren't out here, when I was out here working, because they're just kind of a little distraction there. And well, you can see as the wind changes direction and stops, they kind of slow down and stop also. But up here, it's usually pretty windy out, so they will get a good workout. So I just thought I'd do this video and redo these bees here, just to warn people to make sure that you get a marine type plywood or something that's suitable for long-term outdoor use, such as this plastic wood or something like that, if you're going to attempt making these. Otherwise, it could be a problem like I had. And there you can see the raised bed area. Everything's finally starting to germinate, come up, and it's doing real good. And we did have a record warm end of March there, so everything really took off and started to germinate really fast. So I'm real happy to have the bees back out here now, and have this area pretty much done for the season. And next thing I'll be doing is, you can see I've just about got my big section of garden all planted, so I'll be doing a quick update of a video on that shortly. I had some people ask me where the bees were in the last video, so I thought I'd give you a quick update and just let you know that they are back out there, and they're working better than ever now. I hope everybody has great success with their gardens this year. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.